I'm Nina O'Brien. I grew up skiing at Palisades Tahoe, and these days I live in Denver, so I'm really excited to be racing at what feels like home for me.
Hi everyone, my name is Keely Cashman. I'm also from Palisades Tahoe. I also skied at Dodge Ridge and Bear Valley. And I'm excited to be here to race in GS. I'm mostly a speed skier, so just happy to be here on home snow.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Bocock. I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. I grew up skiing for Snowbird and Romark. And I'm most excited to be able to ski in front of friends and family and on a familiar area.
Hi, I'm Paul Wilson. I grew up skiing at Buck Hill, but I am now a New Englander. I live in Vermont, and I'm excited to be in Copper because I haven't raced here since 2017, so it should be exciting.
Hi everyone, I am Trisha Mangan. I grew up skiing at Hollymont and I'm from Buffalo, New York. And I think Copper is some of my favorite snow ever, so I'm so excited to race tomorrow.
Hello, I'm Neve Moritz. I'm from Vail, Colorado, and I'm most excited to race in front of my friends and family.
Hello, I'm Annika Hunt. I grew up in Park City, Utah, but for the past 5 years I've been in Eastburg, Vermont. I attended Berg Mountain Academy. And I am also really excited to race in front of friends and family. And my sister's actually floor running on Sunday, which I'm racing, which should be really fun.
Great. So I want to start with Paula. She's currently ranked third in the overall rankings right now. An incredible start this season. Second place at the Solden Giant Slalom, and she had 2 great slalom results these past 2 weekends. So Paula, how does it feel to start the season in such a strong way, and how are you hoping to continue that into Copper?
Yeah, it's been a really exciting beginning of the season for me. I feel like I've built off a base in which I produced last season, so to be able to kind of pick up right where I left off last season feels like a good place to be. And coming into Copper here at home, I feel like I'm going to keep carrying the momentum with me, but also take some of the momentum of the hometown crowd and hope to perform and put out some best skiing I've ever had.
It's no surprise that our women's team is very strong right now, and Nina and Elizabeth were key members of having 6 women in the top 20 in Solden as well, which was pretty historic. So can you guys both speak to what it's like to be on a team with that much depth and how you guys push each other in training?
Well, I'd say what it feels like so far this season has just been honestly a lot of fun. A lot of us have been skiing together for many years now, and so it feels like we've sort of climbed the ranks together from starting our first World Cups to getting into that top 30 and then having, I think, one of our best team performances ever in Solden to start the year off. And yeah, we definitely push each other, and I'd say everyone wants to be the fastest every training day, but you know, between runs on the chairlift or afterwards, just when we're living together, it's a ton of fun and we're all really supportive. So I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I feel like ski racing obviously is an individual sport, but with this team that we've had, I think it's been so much fun, and it's felt for me more like a team sport, which I always grew up loving playing team sports. So yeah, our first result in Solden, where we all kind of had individual success together making team success, it is so much fun to be a part of that and to keep pushing together.
I want to turn to Trisha and Keely. We don't normally see you guys at a lot of tech races, but it's awesome to have you in Solden and here at Copper. So how are you feeling with this GS for tomorrow, and what is it like joining the tech group for these races?
I'm really happy to be here. My first World Cup races were tech races, and I always called myself a tech skier, and then I kind of slowly shifted towards speed. But I know Trish and I have both been trying to keep our GS at a high level, and to qualify for these races was huge for us. And I mean, we raced in Solden, but we wasn't our best showing, so we're hoping that this goes a little better. But I know we're both trying to be competitive on the World Cup circuit in GS, so this is going to be a big start for us, I think.
Yeah, I reiterate everything Keely said, and I think it also speaks to the depth of the team and like moving forward, having athletes that have that technical side and are able to compete on the speed and more of a pathway for younger athletes to do both. and I think that hopefully we're helping pave that way, but I do think it does speak to the depth of the team as a whole as well.
Annika, you just had your first World Cup starts the past few weeks. How was that experience, and do you have a little bit more confidence now going into Copper? What are you expecting for tomorrow or for the slalom?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun starting my first World Cups. I was really nervous, but I was lucky enough to be able to train with the World Cup team for a couple weeks before. And they've all been super welcoming, and it made me a lot more comfortable going into those races. And now I think I've built up a lot more confidence going into Copper, and I think I can ski a little bit more like myself and less nervous. So I'm really excited, and I'm glad that Copper will be my third start. So yeah.
And Kirsty and Lieb, it's actually their birthday today, so that's pretty exciting. Kirsty's first World Cup start is going to be tomorrow in the GS, and Lieb has had a few starts already, but they're both going to be starting together in the slalom, which is really exciting. So first of all, what is it like to start your first World Cup, Kirsty, and then how's it going to be just being together at a race, at a World Cup at this high level?
Yeah, I always imagined my first World Cup race would be somewhere in Europe where they don't speak English, my family can't really be there, so I'm super, super excited to start it here where I've trained for many, many years. I live in Vail, Colorado, so I'm only about a half hour away. So most of my family will be there. I'll have some of my childhood coaches be there, so I can't really think of the more perfect scenario for my first World Cup, so I'm really excited. Yeah, and it's super special. This will be my first World Cup with my twin sister. We've sort of had the same goals growing up and pushing each other every single day, just obviously because we're twins. And so it is very special to meet each other at the highest stage and at home. So yeah, can't wait.
Great. And we have our front row here, Team Summit kids, so I know I have some questions prepared, so I want to get to you guys first. So who would like to ask a question to our ladies? Say your name.
Okay, my name is Theo Crumman. I am delighted to be here and see you all. And my question is to Paula. And at the starting line, right before your race, what is in your mind and why?
That is a really great question. When I'm in the start gate or a couple minutes before, I'm usually thinking about what I'm working on in skiing. So even though I've reached the top level of my sport, I'm still constantly thinking about what can make me better. And in my brain, I have a couple different key words that I think about while I'm skiing, and I just remind myself of those before I go to the start gate. And then my serviceman / my husband is always telling me that he believes in me. And so in the start gate, I'm always reiterating that I believe in me and I belong there.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth, and I have a question for Nina. Which of your races do you think most impacted your career and why?
That's such a great question, and thank you. I'm gonna pick an early race, and I think for me, it might have been a US Nationals in 2015. I was, I think, 17 years old and had a pretty good NORAM season that year. I was just finishing high school, and sort of I would say it was a surprise to me and most other people there. I happened to win the first run of the GS race, and it was probably one of the first races where I was leading after the first run. So I was a little bit nervous, but I was trying to stay relaxed and stay calm and tell myself that I could do it. And I was really proud that at the end I managed to pull off the win and win a national title. And I feel like that moment really helped me believe that I could make the US ski team and compete with, you know, all of these girls and some of our teammates who came ahead of us. So yeah, that would be a special one for me.
Anyone else up front?
I have a question for Trisha. Is that how you say it? Okay, I'm Geneva and I'm 9 years old, and my dream is to become a World Cup skier. When you were 9, was your dream to become a World Cup skier, and what advice would you give to your 9-year-old self?
Thank you so much for that question. I have to be honest with you. My dream was not to be a World Cup skier. And the only reason why is because I didn't know many World Cup skiers, and I didn't really think that I could ever be that good. So that is awesome that you want to be one, because it's really, really good to have goals like that. And my advice would be to just keep working hard and keep all of the like day-to-day things, keep your focus on that too. Like, don't worry about things so much in the future, because I think that's what helped me is like, I never thought I could be the very best when I was 9, but I wanted to be a little bit better every day. And that's what I focused on, and then here I am. So I think that if you keep working hard, then you can definitely do it too.
Hi, I'm Colin Kremen. I am very happy to be here, very lucky. My question also goes to Paula. And what is the one thing that made you know you're going to become a professional?
You guys have some good questions. I don't know if there's ever a singular point or a singular moment in which I knew I was going to be a professional. I kind of have a very unique story. I was on the US ski team for 5 years, and then I actually ended up going to university for 3 years, and then came back to the US ski team. And I think this is my 7th season back on the US ski team. And I think the turning point in my brain where I became a professional athlete was when I was coming back from college into World Cup racing, and I had finally scored World Cup points for the first time in a very long time. And I kind of like reset my brain and reset my goals that this is what I actually wanted to do for a living. And so that's kind of maybe the biggest moment in my life when I realized that is when I was going to be a professional.
All right, well, I'd love to open it up to the media now if there's any questions in the audience.
Nancy Armour with USA Today Sports. This is for Trisha and Keely. We got the news about Lauren being hurt and not being out for the rest of the season. Just your reaction to that, and what does that mean for the rest of the speed team?
I think we're obviously very sad about that. This sport is incredibly brutal, and there's a lot of girls that have gotten hurt early on, and it's a terrible thing. That being said, Lauren is the most positive person I've ever met in my entire life. She's already cracking jokes. I'm sure you saw the video she posted on Instagram. That's her personality to a T, and she's also, I would say, one of the hardest working people I know, so I have no doubt that she'll be back in no time.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. She is such an unbelievably hard worker and such a light on our team, so we will certainly miss her, but are already excited for her to come back.
All right, well, we have a very special guest who's going to come up and moderate. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over the mic to her.
Hi, everyone. I'm not the special guest. My name is Megan Herod. I manage all of Michaela's PR and media. And I'm going to introduce someone that I know needs no introduction, but winningest ski racer of all time, 15-time world championship medalist, 3-time Olympic medalist, and now a podcast host. Michaela Schifrin, you can come over here. I'm just gonna give a shout out quick. You can sit there. I know well, you're in charge right now. You're gonna ask the questions. I'm gonna give a shout out to Ron and Stifel for their support, because we launched a podcast this year called What's the Point with Michaela Schifrin, and I'm just gonna hand it over to Mick, and she's gonna ask a question of the group.
Hi, everybody. Hi, you guys. You guys have already kind of been talking about this already. Hi, everybody. I can't really see you all. But I guess I've spent a lot of time wrestling with this question of what's the point, hence the name of the podcast, particularly after my dad passed away. And it's just something that pings in my head. Sometimes it's more day-to-day stuff, sometimes it's kind of a little bit more existential, but something that has been helping me is gaining perspective from other people. So in this whole, talking about topics of like legacy, topics of hard work, with Paula and your work with NRM, these are really cool things that that our athletes are doing, not only within the sport, but also outside of the sport. And I've had the opportunity to do some really cool work with Cher Winter Foundation. And I guess to lead into my question for all of you, or it's, maybe we don't have enough time for everyone to answer it fully, but like if you guys want to piggyback off of each other or somebody just wants to start, my question would be, what's the point for you? The training, the hard work, showing up on a day-to-day basis. Trish, I just heard you talking about this, like you just got to keep working hard and like don't think too much in the future, really focus on the step-to-step process that you're doing right now. So what's the point for you, and how do you see the impact that we can have not only on the sport but outside of it as well?
Great question. I guess I can start because it is similar to what I was saying before. I feel incredibly lucky to be a ski racer. I've met amazing people. The experiences are incredible. Most importantly, I've learned so much about myself, and I feel like sport is such a unique opportunity to challenge yourself, and it gives you so much confidence when you're able to overcome those challenges. And I think that for me, a big part of this is encouraging all of you younger ski racers that you can dream really big and you can work hard at something, and it's an amazing feeling to commit to your sport, even if it is a really, really hard one. So yeah, I guess that's part of the point for me, is just so all of you guys know that you can be any one of us if you really want to and put in the work. So don't forget to believe in yourself, like Paula said.
We do have about 10 minutes, so you
Okay,
guys
sorry.
gotta figure it out.
I will agree with everything Trisha said. I think a lot of us see eye to eye on that. For me, I would say the point, I don't know if there's a single point, but for me, it's always been what we do behind the scenes. I love skiing, I love competing, but I also love my teammates. I love traveling the world, and I think something I would say is that when I was younger, I wanted to be a professional skier because I thought that I was very competitive. I think I've kind of gone the opposite way as I've gotten older, where I've gotten a little bit less competitive and kind of just more enjoying what I'm doing. And I think that hopefully we can show the younger generation that if you work hard at anything, then you don't have to work a day in your life. I mean, this is our job, and I think anything you want to work hard at that you love doing, you can do that for the rest of your life. And I think that's something that I want to show the younger generation, and I'm incredibly lucky to do that. So.
Okay, I can jump in. I 100% agree with everything Trish and Keely just said. And I think for me, I could take it even beyond skiing. I mean, for all of us, maybe what we're really passionate about and what we wake up wanting to give our very best to every day is skiing. But, you know, skiing's not the only thing, whether it's school or it's something creative or it's being a really good friend or, you know, really any other interest or passion you have. I think having a passion or having a goal or something that you're willing to really try and push yourself to be the, you know, maybe not the best, but the best version of you or the most you can give to whatever that might be, is a really healthy and positive thing. And I think in any room full of people I'm in, I love meeting people who are super interested and have different interests from me. And a lot of the time, the way that looks for anyone who's trying hard to be their best at something is you're gonna try and you're gonna fail and you're gonna learn something by failing, and you're gonna get back out there and you're gonna race another day or train another day for us. But I think just sort of that process of, you know, pushing yourself to be better, find more in whatever you're doing, failing and, you know, getting up and trying again is maybe enough of a point in whatever it is that you enjoy doing.
Hello. Just piggybacking off what Nina said, I think for me is, being able to see kind of progress. And I think that this sport is cool because all sports are cool because you can see results, you can see it in front of you, and I, like Keely, am competitive, and that hasn't died down as much. And I think it's fun to see improvement and progress on a day-to-day basis, and like Nina said, you're gonna fail, and it's not just a straight trajectory, but seeing that progress is fun for me. I also think that I haven't, like, with you and Paula, I feel like you guys have a real good purpose for what you're showing people outside of skiing, and I haven't gotten there quite yet. But for me, I don't like to take myself too seriously, and I like to enjoy what I'm doing and have fun on the hill and laugh, and for me, that's been enough of a point so far.
For me, I would say the point of showing up and putting in the hard work is to set expectations and lofty goals for myself, because I love the feeling of surprising myself with what I can do in sport. And in doing so, I think it's important to lean on your teammates and push them to be the best versions of themselves, which in turn will push the sport and change the level of the game, which obviously we can see Michaela is doing. I think I'm definitely still figuring out the point. And I think I'm learning more and more about what the point is for me every day, and especially this season. I think when I was younger and kind of like before I made the US ski team, I had big goals for myself, and the point of working so hard every day and skiing was to be on the World Cup. And now I think I'm discovering a lot more of kind of piggybacking off of what everyone has said and what Nina was saying about like being the best version of myself in other areas of my life too along the way. And I've been learning a lot about myself through this journey, and like traveling the world, seeing all these cool places and meeting people from different countries and making friends. I think that has that's kind of becoming my point, I guess. And yeah, that's been really cool. Yeah, so I'm obviously on the newer side. It's my first World Cup this weekend. And yeah, I'm kind of having this realization of a feeling of like, wow, I'm like finally here. I've always dreamed of being a World Cup skier. And for me, it's kind of like thinking back to my younger self and thinking of people like Michaela being like, if you just put your mind to it, you really can get there. And what I really like to, or what I want to do in the future is kind of just be that person for all of you. Like, it's so possible. I never really thought of myself coming to this point. Yeah, it's really possible, and anyone can do it. Yeah.
I already answered this question for you.
Yeah, stay tuned for the podcast. Would you like to say something?
Yeah. I'm the oldest at this table by at least almost a year in front of Michaela. I've had a lot of different versions of what's the point. I think when you're young, you have big dreams, right? Up front, you got big dreams. And I think it's important to chase those. But then for me, as I've gotten older, yes, the results are important, but for me, the purpose and the point of being an athlete is finding the joy of sport. And in whatever aspect you can take that, it can be the joy is meeting you guys and talking to you and answering your questions, or the joy is sharing really special moments with your teammates, or the joy is watching your teammates break records constantly. And I think for me, the biggest part of it is that every single day I like to ski race and I love to ski race. And every single season I ask myself if I still love what I'm doing. And the answer is yes. So my point is the joy of ski racing.
I love that. Thank you guys. If you have like one more minute, I was wondering, after having taken all of that information and wonderful insight, if I could have one of you guys raise your hand and tell me what the point is for you. to be here and to listen to this? You were first, all right.
To have fun skiing. That's the point I'm doing it. Go out as much as I can because it's just so fun, my favorite sport.
And one more. I'll ask the question first. First, raise your hand. For all of us in the next 2 days, what's one piece of advice you would give us?
Just have fun with it, enjoy what you're doing because not everyone's where you are, so make the most of it and have fun. Good luck.
Thank you, guys. And done. Thank you guys.
Do a
We're gonna
group
get a
photo,
picture. Group
and
photo.
then we'll kick it over to Michaela for some questions.
Layer it. Yeah. Yeah. Sorority. Squat.
Thank you. Okay, the rest of the women are gonna leave and Michaela's gonna stick around for some questions here. So just give us a minute to reset up. Hello. Hello, hello. Tom told me to use the one that wasn't on for a reason. All right, I'm gonna open it with a couple of questions for Michaela, and then I'm going to open to the media for questions. Oh, you're eager, you have one. You can go first in a second, okay? Michaela, you're here at home. We, of course, miss Killington, but it's really nice to be here. Yesterday, it was Thanksgiving, and you had a really special moment in watching Alex return to the mountain after almost 700 days of being away. Can you just talk a little bit about what that means, being at home, the gratitude, and how nice it was to kick off the weekend with that moment?
Yeah, it was also quite stressful. You know, I don't think anybody guesses or wonders why it was emotional to see Alex back in the start and racing again, but to like paint the picture of how much went into that moment. I was there with him from the moment he woke up in Bern at the trauma center in Switzerland, and I was there with him when he got the infection in the summertime in Vail. I've been there with him in these moments where you see what we see from Alexander Omak Kilde is this incredible, strong Viking, positive, spirited man. He's a man, he takes up the whole start house, and he's strong, and he's won races, and nobody doubted that he would come back, but he did, and I did, because I've seen him in his greatest moments of being the smallest, weakest, I don't want to say this in a bad way, but in an injured version of himself where he couldn't stand up at all. He couldn't sit up in a hospital bed for about 8 weeks. He would get dizzy from pain, so it's this crazy moment where you see him back in the start gate, and he's still taking up the whole start, and he's pushing out of the gate, and you wouldn't think that he only has 40% mobility in his shoulder, maybe. That moment was so incredible and inspiring and emotional. And you know, guys, what he said yesterday to me after the run, after he had time to process it, and it was a very stressful day for him too. He was really nervous, right? And I'm sure you guys have felt this many times. And it was a lot to take on. But when I saw him later for Thanksgiving dinner, he said, gosh, the most fun I had today was in the minute and 20 seconds, whatever it was, in the course between the start and the finish. That was really fun. And it's what you guys were saying. So despite all of the things that happen in life and all the injuries and things you will have to overcome, you can still find joy in it. And it's still possible to do that. And that was just really emotional for me to see.
Amazing. Thank you, Mick. Okay, we'll take your question first.
If you could only think of one thing in the start gate, what would it be?
That is such a good question. So when I feel the most strong in the start gate, it's when I had really good training and really good practice before the race. And the reason for that is when I'm practicing, I get to think of all the technical things. I think of being forward on my skis and using my ankles and my knees and outside ski pressure and all of these positions. And then as I improve and progress in those positions, it brings this, it brings like just a feeling, something that nobody else could understand because it's going to be specific for each athlete. But it's like an image in my head. If I close my eyes, I can just see it and I can feel it in my muscles. Even sitting here, I can just feel what it should feel like tomorrow. And that feeling is what I'm thinking about in the start gate. Does that make sense? But it takes a lot of practice of very technical things and a lot of drills and to get to that point where you have a feeling that you want to think about.
Really good question.
Yeah.
More questions? Okay, we'll go down here. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Imogen, and I was wondering, do you have a certain routine or strategy that is like helpful for your race days that is helpful for you like overcoming your race day anxiety?
There have been several over the years. It kind of changes each year. This season, I have really relied on communication. So like with my team, with my coaches, with people around me, I'm not afraid to say when I'm nervous. And sometimes you feel as an athlete that you should say, I feel great, I'm so excited for this day, and it should only be positive. And what I found is that if I feel nervous, it's better to just say, whew, I've got some butterflies, but it's okay, I've got a plan, and just keep thinking about the steps you want to take in the day. But when I communicate with the team around me, then they know where my head is and they can help me in that process. And then I feel that we're a team. I don't feel alone. So the thing about nerves is that they can make you feel really, really lonely. And I have felt that in my career. It makes you feel like you're the only person on the mountain because you can't see other people's nerves really. Maybe sometimes it's in their face, but for the most part, you just feel like you're alone in this experience. So that's been helpful, just to say what I'm feeling. That's number one. And the number two thing is I read somewhere that having something really sour when you're feeling some anxiety can help trick your brain into like breaking that pattern. So I actually started bringing sour gummies to the start. I don't really like sour things, so I look ridiculous when I eat them. But just like one gummy. So I'm not telling you guys to just go eat candy, okay? Like nobody said that. 1 or 2 gummies, but it's been helping.
Hey Michaela, Shauna Farnell, freelance writer. Congratulations on your success so far this season. As somebody who has excelled in every discipline, I would like to hear your take on GS as the quintessential ski discipline and what you find uniquely challenging about it.
Yeah, I find that with GS, there's so many different variations of how a course can feel depending on the setting. It can feel really, really fast, and there's so much time between the gates, and it can feel like quick, almost like a slalom course. So what I've found in my career is it's very hard to find the balance of rhythm and timing and risk with giant slalom. But when my giant slalom is on, I feel that I can get to my highest level of slalom faster and a higher level of Super G faster. So it really bridges the gap between basically slalom and speed, which in my mind are almost like two different sports. But when the GS is there, it's connecting those two pieces, and then I can I feel like every day I'm on the snow is helping each event. Slalom can even help Super G in that way because it's like GS is bridging the gap.
Hi, it's Nicole from the Ski Moms podcast. Welcome to the world of podcasting, Michaela.
Thanks.
Is it harder about what you thought it would be or easier, and are you enjoying the process of storytelling?
I am really enjoying it. I think what is challenging, I did expect it to be challenging, but it's finding the time to be prepared enough to host a conversation. I am naturally pretty quiet or like a bit introverted, so if I'm talking with somebody one-on-one, I find it very challenging to ask questions. It's a really important skill to be able to ask people questions, and I've struggled with that in my life, like how to carry a conversation. I think people have misjudged it for being like standoffish, and it's just me in my brain, like only exclamation points and freaking out, like I don't know what to say. So this has been a really cool process to basically be forced to host a conversation and to ask questions. That's been really, really cool. Already a total journey of self-development and exploration. I've loved it so far, all of the insight, like you heard these girls up there, and that's been every conversation I've had so far has been that insightful. So I'm really excited about it.
Hey, Michaela.
Hi.
Nancy Armour, USA Today. I'm just wondering if you've had a chance to talk with Lauren yet, and what advice you would give to her. Obviously, huge disappointment, but still want to come back.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to talk with her yet. I imagine she's getting kind of bombarded right now, and knowing Coos, she doesn't always reply because she's probably overwhelmed. So I want to give it a minute. But I'm looking forward to chatting with her about this because it's a new experience. And you heard the girls up here, they've all said like she's such a hard worker and she's so positive and she has such a great like instinct for just how to keep pushing forward. So I'd almost wonder what her mindset is. I can maybe give her some advice, but the truth is like everybody navigates injuries very individually. So mostly it's just to say like we support you through it all and everything you've been doing is right. You've been doing it all right. So just be patient with yourself and keep going. But I'd be interested to see where her mindset is at because she already posted on Instagram. I was like, I wish I had her brain.
I was gonna say, Meg, during your chat with Lauren, you learned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to share like the glaring point from the Lauren podcast episode?
So we talked a lot about how she enjoys racing and how she expresses herself. And she's she is so positive and bubbly and laughing and silly, and she wears these crazy outfits. And she said that if you were somebody who'd never seen ski racing, well, you guys have to listen to it, but basically the gist is, if you were somebody who'd never seen the sport and you caught it on TV for like 5 seconds, would you want to do it if you saw somebody in the finish angry, sad, upset? Or would you want to do it if you saw someone in the finish smiling and looking back up at the hill saying, oh my God, I just did that? And that was basically her point. And I would love to take that mentality into my own work and race day mentality. I'd love to bring that into myself more.
Hey, Michaela, thanks for doing this. I'm Becky Sullivan. I'm with NPR. I was just wondering about today and with Alex, or yesterday with Alex, like, do you think, obviously you guys have spent so much time over the past 2 years focused not just on his recovery, but your own, but I mean, just so much work for him. And I wonder if your mentality might change at all now that he's hit this milestone. Does that free something up for you, whether that's like consciously or subconsciously? Yeah.
Actually, yes. So up until yesterday, I've talked about like not loving racing because it's stressful, and sometimes I joke that I would prefer to be a spectator, and I can strongly confirm that I would not prefer to be a spectator. I prefer to be the racer, and I learned that yesterday. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Grace Blair, and my question is, where is your favorite place to ski and train?
That's a great question.
And why?
And why? Yeah. I actually do love to train here at Copper, because every spring for the last 5 years, pretty much, at least, I've had some training, some camp here, and it's just been perfect days, sunny days, really productive training. It just gives me a really good energy. So, yeah, well, maybe Copper. And free ski, I think Aspen, because I've been there a couple times for free skiing, and it's just, there's so much fun terrain, and they have great french fries. Yeah.
Hey, Michaela, this is, oh wow, hot mic. I have a podcast too, but we have less listeners over 5 years than you had in 5 seconds, so we'll just stop there. Anyway, last year there was obviously a lot of attention on the World Cup with Lindsey Vonn coming back to the sport, and then also this possible pairing with you at Worlds in the team event. I'm just curious, like, what's your relationship with her now like, and is there a possibility you two would team up at the Olympics?
I think anything's possible. It all boils down to basically performance leading up to the Olympics, and then the team decides the pairings. I have so much respect for the mentality she's bringing to this, to come out of retirement and to show so much more, like you heard the girls talking about it up here, to show what's possible, that anything's actually possible. And if you put in the hard work and your mindset, it's, you can get so much from life if you just like decide you want to do something and you do it to your best ability. And I think she's showing that. And I think she's always showed that in her whole career. So it's pretty special to see that again.
I'm Alexandra, and my question is, when it's like summertime and you can't ski, are you like relaxing, or are you like working out, getting stronger, trying to improve?
This is a great question. When I'm not skiing, I spend quite a lot of time in the gym and working on strength and conditioning training. But if you're asking this like from your perspective as well, when I was younger, I played a lot of sport. I don't know if that's me. I think it's me. The mic just doesn't like me. I played a lot of sports. I played soccer. I played tennis. I did windsurfing. Not that that's like super accessible in Colorado, but if we were in places with water and wind. And just like I enjoyed being outside and I enjoyed being with my family. So I think up to like middle teenage years, it's really important to do all of the things that you might want to do and ski a lot. And like if you love it, then just do as much of it as you can. But don't worry too much about specializing yet, because all of these other sports are going to help you with your balance and your coordination and your kind of body discovery, if that makes sense. And you just be the best athlete you can be. And then, when you're 15, 16, 17, that's when I started to really get into like more specified strength training. I was working a lot on my technique, and now I spend probably 4 to 6 hours in the gym or doing some workout 6 days of the week. So I would just, when it's time to dedicate that much time to working out, you just go for it. But until it's time, don't rush it, because it's more fun to be outside and doing sports and all the other things.
Hi, my name is Geneva and I'm 9 years old, and my dream is to become a World Cup skier like you are. And my question is, when you were 9, was your dream to become a World Cup skier? And if so, what advice would you give to your 9-year-old self?
Oh my gosh, you guys, your questions are unbelievable. I would like you to host the podcast for me. Yeah, you can have my job, all of them. I wanted to be a World Cup ski racer. I think ever since I remember anything in life, I remember watching Bodie Miller and my idols and thinking, I want to be a World Cup ski racer. I want to be the best in the world. Having said that, when it was summertime and I was playing soccer or doing other things, it was like my full attention was on those other things. But there was a time with my soccer team, my coach had suggested that I try out for the Olympic development program in soccer. And I was like, but I'm a skier. And I was probably 11 or 12. I don't know why I thought I was I just decided that I was a ski racer. And that was like my identity. I think there are so many ways that you can do this sport. You don't have to know for sure what you want. And if you do know for sure what you want, that's also great. So my advice to you and to all of you is and to myself as when I was younger, it's all okay. Like any way that you go about this is okay. The most important things that you need to have are passion, not just for the sport, but for the process of working to improve. So it's like both things. You gotta learn to love the drills and the practice, and it's maybe not always going to be in gates, not always going to be racing. We spend a lot more time training than we do racing, so you have to like both of them. And beyond that, beyond passion, I don't know, I think that's actually it. That's what you need to have. And if you know you want to be a World Cup racer, that's amazing. That's so cool. And if you don't know yet, that's also really super cool.
Okay, we have time for maybe one or two more questions. Okay, here, you haven't asked any questions yet, have you?
So my name is Elizabeth Davis, and I was wondering, which of your races do you think most affected your career and why?
Most affected my career?
Yeah, or like made you want to do what you're doing.
I mean, well, maybe there's two. One would be when I was younger, the first kind of race that I ever did, it was it was like youth race, kids race. I think it was 6 or 7 in Vail, and I want to change my answer now. Okay, actually, so the first slalom race I ever did, also in Vail, youth race, and I was like 7 or 8, maybe 7, 6 probably. Doesn't matter. And at the bottom of I was so tired at the end of the run, in the finish area. I was kind of like trying to stop, and I let out a breath, and my pole jammed into the snow, and then I kind of skied into it, and it jammed back and hit me in the gut, and it was like pain. I got the wind knocked out of me, and I was crying. I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. And though still somehow in my mind, I was like, I kind of want to go do it again. So that was like a pretty impactful moment. And then my first World Cup race was in Czech, and I was awestruck by the whole scene. My dad was there. It was 2 days before my 16th birthday, and I just remember being like, oh, if this is where it starts, I can't wait to see where it goes from here, kind of. So that was also a very impactful moment.
Mic's off. Mic's off. Courtney, it's off.
Oh, sorry. Fair enough.
What is the hardest part about your professional career that fans don't normally see?
Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, what is it? These are such good questions. Holy crow. Okay, think, girl. I actually think that fans, like true fans of the sport, see a lot. I think fans tend to give athletes space to succeed and fail, and true fans are like, we support you for the human behind the athlete. So I don't know that I would be speaking to, the real fans of the sport in this answer, but one of the hardest things that can be misunderstood about the sport is injuries and how much they truly impact your body long before you return to racing, long after you return to racing. And the sort of expectation that comes with having won a lot of races is that you're always ready to win races. And when that's not the case, it can be really stressful and it can be really lonely. That would be one of the biggest misunderstandings about the sport. I think that's probably any sport. But on the flip side, you also have the opportunity to work through those tough moments. And what I've learned is it doesn't really matter what people are thinking about you or saying about you. It can be really hard not to listen to that, but in the end, when you're working and you're making progress and you listen to your own voice and your own body, that's the best you can do. And it doesn't matter what the other people are saying. So if somebody is misunderstanding you, you can spend a lot of time fighting back to make them understand, or you can just let it go and keep going on your path. I'm not very good at that, but I'm working on it. Thank you guys, those were really good questions.
Thank you, everyone, and have fun watching this weekend and cheer really loud, okay?
Really, really loud. Thank you guys.